Hello again, everybody. We are here to do another sample section. So, the great big Google list of Kindle samples, there's about 200 of them so far now, I think, has given me for this week's... Do I have to do them once a week? I don't have to do them once a week. It just happens to be how it is now. Oh god, 200 Kindle samples once a week is going to take me forever. Yes! This week's sample is this. It is Yokai Calling, the complete series, by Erynn Lehtonen. I'm not sure if I got that last name pronounced right, but nevertheless, Yokai Calling by Erynn Lehtonen. So once again, we'll look at the covers, cover, book, judge, yada yada. We have what looks like a very demonic-looking creature here, manipulating some sort of forces. We have ghosts of naked women. Sure. Very, very bright and colorful, which is interesting. In looking through a lot of the samples that I've been looking through for kind of building up this series, you don't see a lot of covers with this sort of vivid variation of color, which is pretty neat. Judging from the architecture of the buildings in the background and judging from the word yokai, I can already tell this is going to be influenced from Japan. Japanese culture, Japanese history, Japanese myth maybe, which should be interesting. I live in Japan. I've lived in Japan now for 24 years almost, 23 and a half really. I am not an expert in Japan. It's very hard to be an expert in Japan, and honestly, any foreigner who tells you they're an expert in Japan is making up their credentials, I think. But nevertheless, there are aspects of Japanese culture that I know are very popular all over the world. Japan has had a lot of cultural booms over history. I am always a little bit wary of somebody using a culture that they are not familiar with as the setting for their work. You can see it, for example, you see many authors doing it. I don't say it can't be done or it's wrong to be done. It's just, I have a little bit of a hesitation. I'm like, okay, you are on the very cover, you are declaring that this is going to be inspired by Japanese mythology and Japanese history and maybe Japanese literature. Just please get it right. That's all I ask for. Or at least please make it authentic. I understand that you're always going to make some changes and concessions and adaptations. That's always going to happen. But at least make it authentic, make it good. That's all I ask for. So, all right, let me read the sample and I will get back to you. See you in a minute. Okay. Whew. That's a long sample, by the way. It is a long sample. 2,516 locations in Kindle, however many pages that is, I don't know. But it felt real long as I was reading it, which is never a good sign. There were a few points where I just kind of got distracted and went on to do something else and then went, nope, got to read the sample. Also, never a good sign. To kind of boil it down, I was right. It is kind of fantasy Japan. And I did do a little bit of looking up online, and there was an interview where she says that the world that she's created is not meant to be Japan, but of course it is. She acknowledges it is very Japanese inspired, and she did a lot of work trying to make it right. And I think that she did. I honestly think as I was reading through it, there wasn't a whole lot that struck me as terribly inauthentic, or even worse. I don't know if there's a good word for this, but the type of writer who's like, oh yeah, I know everything about Japanese culture, and then gets it completely wrong. I can see the work that she put in writing this book and in sort of building up the culture that is not quite Japan, but is still very Japanese in a lot of ways. So I can see the work that she did there, and that is good. That makes me feel better as I read it. Any objections that I have to this sample really aren't due to the Japanese nature of the setting. So we'll put that aside. Basically, we've got here several main characters. We have twin brothers. We have Masanori and we have Hidekazu. They are twins. They both want different things. They are both very high placed. I think so far everybody in the sample is socially very, very high up in terms of rank. I think one of them's like the daughter of a shogun, right? So they are all nobles. They're all doing pretty well for themselves. And what's more, most of them are able to manipulate one or more of the four elements. It has a wee bit of a Avatar: The Last Airbender fan fiction going on here. I'm sure Ms. Lehtonen would probably be upset if she heard me say that. Sorry. But it does. I mean, there are people can manipulate the four elements, and it is the rare person who can manipulate all four. Now, unlike Avatar, of course, it's not only one person. They're not mythical or whatnot. But nevertheless, as soon as I heard, oh yes, people can manipulate fire, air, earth, and water, I was like, okay, all right. I just watched the series on Netflix a little while ago, so maybe it's just in my head. But where we go. But these twins, one of them is Hidekazu can manipulate all four elements. Good for him. Masanori can't manipulate any of them. But they are, they're twin brothers. They get along very well. There doesn't seem to be any discord between them yet. We shall see, because Ms. Lehtonen is definitely planting the seeds for the discord between the twin brothers. Because there is a girl named Aihi. Aihi is Masanori's crush. She is also very, very high placed. I think I have my notes here that the shogun is Aihi's mother. But here's the thing. Hold on, I made a little diagram here. Masanori is in love with Aihi, but his brother Hidekazu is betrothed to her to try and do one of those fun little assigned weddings to bring somebody up in rank and whatnot. Then there's this Tora girl who Aihi and Tora might be lovers. It's kind of implied that maybe they are. That if Aihi really had her way, she would be with Tora. But she knows she's going to have to get married to Hidekazu, and Masanori doesn't know any of this yet, as far as the sample goes. So I'm really making this sound kind of better than the experience of reading it was. But I'll get to that in a second. There are some real bad guys. There are the Kanthir, who are terribly wicked. They use like a corrupted form of the energies that the good guys use to manipulate the elements. And they've been stealing. They've been kidnapping women. They've been about 25 of them in total. We don't know why they've been kidnapped. We don't know what the plan is. But our sort of Scooby gang here of Aihi, Tora, Hidekazu, and Masanori are trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out why these women have been kidnapped. And there's a desperate... Okay, here's where things for me kind of got a little off. There is a desperate need that is established. Women are being kidnapped by this strange spectral creature that is clearly wicked, clearly awful. And you get the sense that there is a running clock on this, right? These women have to be found, or they will almost certainly be dead. That seems to want a faster pace than what I'm seeing here in this Kindle sample. The Kindle sample is slow-paced. There's a lot of talking, there's a lot of waiting, there's a lot of trying to find and talk to the right sort of government officials. There's a whole thing where Masanori gets... He ends up getting accepted into a training academy, and I'm thinking, like, that's great that he's accepted, but what does this have to do with the kidnapping? I wanted things to go faster. I wanted the pace to be like a breakneck pace of we got to find these. And I think at one point, Aihi and Tora, they get kidnapped as well. So that puts even more pressure on. And I'm like, come on, speed it up. Let's go. And I didn't get that feeling from the sample that I'm reading. And maybe that's why at certain points, I just kind of got tired. I had to take a little break. I'm like, I know what the goal is. I know what the goal is to save these women, but I don't see the characters working towards that goal. And there's a whole lot of, and maybe this is part of the sort of Japanese inspiration of this, there is a whole lot of kind of jockeying for favor, jockeying for position, right? Trying to find the right way to approach the right person in order to get the favor that you need from them so that you can then cash that in to do this thing. I mentioned Shogun earlier, and it does feel a lot like what Clavel set up in this kind of really, really interesting, intricate, bureaucratic, backstabbing realm. And for Shogun, that worked because it's a political novel. It's all about politics and who gets to rule and who gets to govern. The sample of this seems to be asking for an adventure novel, right? We've got our twin brothers. We got these wild new powers. We have kidnapped women stolen by some strange goat, demon, purple energy wielding thing. And I want the story to move faster. And it wasn't. It didn't feel fast enough to me. That's me. That's just me. I think there is certainly a lot of potential to it. It might be one of those books that does pick up past where the sample leaves us. I don't know. It also says it is the complete series. So at the very least, I know it was good enough that it was picked up to sort of maybe get a few sequels. Would I continue reading this? I don't know. I don't know. I am intrigued. I think the characters are really neat. I do want to see where that weird kind of love tetrahedron how that ends up playing out. There are some really neat sort of secondary characters in the story that I'm finding fascinating. It's just I'm not sure if I have the energy to sort of wait for stuff to happen the way it seems like the author is asking me to wait for stuff to happen. So, I don't know. I'll put this on my I don't know shelf. Maybe. Possibly. If you've read it, if you have read this series or maybe this first book, and you would like to make a pitch, right? Make me an elevator pitch why I should read this book. I would love to hear it from you. Convince me that this is a book that I want to read. That's what I ask of you, because it does seem to have a lot of the hallmarks of a book that I would like to read. It's got magic. It's got Japan. It's got politics. It's got, I don't know, stuff. Good stuff. Monsters, demons, weird purple energy. I like those things. But right now it is not making my heart sing. So we shall see. If you want to make a pitch for it, let me know. But in the meantime, thank you for stopping by, and I guess we'll see you for the next sample section. Have a good one.